Hey folks, it's me again, Breadbeard. I actually went down to the Fisherman's Wharf today to do a little walking video, but turns out you can't understand anything I'm saying because of the wind. So instead, I'm going to record this again, and you can enjoy some really badly compressed footage from a bike trip I took down to the East Coast last year. But anyways, I know I haven't put out a video in a while. I promise I do have some new full videos in the works. Some things that are so far I'm really proud of, including talking with some super badass Antifa super soldiers. We are trying to raise donors to the Antifa International Defense Fund. You can get their information in the link below. They are responsible for directly sending monetary aid to those who are out on the front lines, and I'm really happy to be a part of this project. The first part of it will be on Non-Compete's show, The Slowdown, tonight, Wednesday, March 11th, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check that out on twitch.tv/noncompete. If you're seeing this after today, then don't worry, you can still watch the VOD, and I'll be interviewing some more seriously amazing people from the front lines this coming month. Now, that to the side, I want to talk a little bit about Bernie, voting, revolution, and harm reduction for a sec. A lot of people on the left lately have been saying that there's no such thing as harm reduction and voting is a waste of time. And look, I get what you're saying, really. And I also get that a lot of people, especially marginalized people, have lost all faith in doing anything in the system at all. And honestly, I can't fault anyone for that. But I don't fully understand it because I haven't had to live those same experiences. So if you see anything to do with the state as never having been there for you, so you're not about to start with them, then okay, I can respect that. And you have to do what feels right for you. And, working in the system, as in just following procedure and waiting for them to do good on their promise, yeah, I also have zero faith that that will bring about any form of revolution. And I can't promise I'll even be able to bring myself to vote for Biden if Bernie doesn't get the nomination. But the system is there, and just ignoring it won't make it go away. If that pissed you off, just hear me out to the end, okay? First of all, that's exactly what those in charge are hoping for. That's why there's so much voter suppression. You know, that's why there's so many different methods to try to keep people of color and marginalized people from getting to the polls because they don't want their votes to be put in. So, to me, I don't want to do their work for them. And for the first time in my history, at least, someone who holds at least somewhat actual socialist values has a possibility of being the leader of this fucking empire. And please don't mistake what I'm saying. I'm not saying we should work within the system and hope it fixes things for us. I'm saying that we can use parts of it to our advantage. For the first time since maybe the 1930s, almost 100 years ago, there is a mass movement of solidarity in the working class in America, and that's in no small part due to the Sanders campaign. In essence, the best thing he could do for us, he's already done. But we got to keep that momentum moving. Is he going to fix everything? No. At the end of the day, he's still a capitalist, but it doesn't mean he's not useful to us. He's a tool to be utilized, and not taking advantage of that is a missed opportunity. He's out there shouting words like class warfare and wage labor. He's brought the word socialist back into the Overton window of the US, a country that's very well known for oppressing and silencing communists. He has a giant stage, and he's getting people pissed off, and that's a good thing. We can, and we should, shout on our videos and tweets or whatever that if all of the working class would just come together, then this thing would be finished tomorrow. But the truth is that our stage isn't nearly as big as the one he has. And for once, a stage that big is spreading information that leans our way. And that's why he's useful. Not because he's got big ideas, but because the things he says benefit us to, at very least, bring more people to our cause. This isn't us echoing his words, it's him echoing us. Did he get the message entirely right? No, not even that close. But he's getting enough of it out there that we can run on it. And I said run on it, not ride it, because riding on his momentum alone leads us to, at best, a slightly less repugnant settler empire. But we can run with it, snatch the momentum, rip the fucker from his hands, and make it our own. Start making our voices fucking loud and relentless on the White House doorstep And with someone in the office much more apt to listen to our demands, we might actually start to break through. I've said many times before, the main reason I want Sanders in the White House is that he'd put up the weakest barricade to the door when we storm it. So let's talk a little bit about harm reduction. I've been told by quite a few that there's no such thing because it's all under an oppressive empire. And I 100% agree with the second part of that statement. But I do believe in harm reduction. I've been reading a lot of different articles lately by authors that are white, of people of color, indigenous, to try and get a good grasp as best I can. But most of the pieces that are making the case that harm reduction doesn't exist seem to conflate harm reduction with harm elimination. And to be absolutely clear, no amount of work within the system can bring about harm elimination or even some satisfactory level of quality of life. But yes, I do believe Sanders as a president would give a desperately needed break for a lot of suffering people. While there definitely would be still an uphill battle for a lot of these things, let's take a look real quick at some of the things Sanders could do by himself on day one in office. On day one, he could redirect executive branch agencies to start focusing on climate change, including the military, which would severely curb their ability to push war efforts. And speaking of war, he could also use executive orders to start withdrawing troops from current combat zones. He could also eradicate kill lists that are made for questionable targets, basically the drone strike targets. He can issue executive orders directing the DOH and the DOJ to shutter private prisons and end their new contracts. He could mass pardon people convicted in the war on drugs. He can sign executive orders to cancel student debt from fraudulent universities like, Trump University. He can also use those same executive orders to direct his Secretary of Education, who would then immediately start to write off all the student loan debt with the federal government as the creditor, which is a huge amount of them, by the way. If that isn't harm reduction, then what is it? And there is precedence for this kind of stuff being done. Carter immediately pardoned all the draft dodgers. Obama, as shitty as he was, did pardon hundreds of drug offenders as he left office. If people that had a line to walk and were trying to stay in the center could do these small things, then someone who's actually left of that center line could do a lot more. Just look at all the shit Trump did with a stroke of his pen to fuck us. Sanders could do the same thing to start doing a little bit of unfucking. But yeah, there are still lots of things that would take a lot of time and a lot of hard work. But there's also a lot of things he can do immediately that would make a giant impact on people's lives. And those things that do take a lot of work, like socialized healthcare, they can happen. Just because the USA is an oppressive empire doesn't mean that they can't get it through. France was an empire. They ended up passing socialized healthcare. England was one of the most fucking vast colonial empires in history, and eventually they passed healthcare. So, while I get having no faith that the system will help anyone, I do truly believe that Sanders wants to make these things happen. And even if he only really cares about a few of these things and gets those done, it would save or at least relax the burden of thousands, if not millions of lives. And I can't pretend that those lives don't matter. On the second day of this year, I lost my little cousin to drug addiction. He had been trying to get clean, really very, very hard for over a year, but he just couldn't kick it. And he never could hold down a job for very long because of the addiction, and he didn't have any insurance. And I have no doubt in my mind that if he had had access to therapy and drug counseling and to medication to help him get off, I am 100% sure that the little boy I watched grow up would still be with us today. Millions of people like him could be saved by something like this. So I refuse to accept the privilege of not voting when there are lives like this on the line. And like I said, even outside of harm reduction, we've been presented with an opportunity. Don't let all these newly raised voices quiet back down. Keep getting them pissed off. If Bernie wins, then fucking good. Still go march on the White House and keep demanding he make good on his promises. If he loses, do it even more so. I know it's looking like Biden might get the nomination. Same fucking thing. Keep pushing. If you find cases of voter suppression, start marching on the polls. Make a lot of fucking noise and don't dare shut up. Make it known to everyone that the system is fucked and this is the proof, and that no one is going to sit quiet and pretend that this is okay anymore. So, do I believe voting is useful? Yeah, I do. It isn't the final play by any means, but it is a useful tool. But just one of many. Take this opportunity and don't squander it. Go vote for Sanders. If you already did, that's great. And then get out and start making your voice heard, whether Sanders wins or loses. This is a chance for an entire class to start moving. I feel that there's a huge awakening happening right now that we haven't seen in a long time in the USA. So get out there. Don't let go. Don't stop with the momentum that's built, no matter what the results of any election are. So that's it. Make sure to watch us tonight and talk to some real people straight from the front lines on the slowdown. And stay safe, but stay loud.